All right, hello and welcome to Political Voice. I'm Moses Humphrey. Now, you may have seen the viral video already, but in case you haven't, let's tell you something about the video. Now, in the said viral video circulating since Wednesday, Godswill Akpabio, the Senate president, declared that senators have received money through the National Assembly Clerk to enjoy their holidays. Now, before the motion before the motion for adjournment was made, Akpabio notified his colleagues of the financial arrangement and mentioned that the National Assembly Clerk had sent to each of their personal accounts some money. Well, he said it is still unclear if that's a global best practice for the clerk of the House to send money to lawmakers. Well, later, probably realizing that he was on national television, Akpabio changed his mind regarding the holiday token and said that the Senate president had sent prayers to their email accounts to ensure their safety throughout the vacation. Oh well, let's actually take a listen to that one as we have that on our screen so you can hear for yourselves.
In order to enable all of us to enjoy our holidays, a token has been sent to our various accounts by the clerk of the National Assembly.
Well, Nigerians have seriously criticized the Senate president, criticizing for that statement, even though he withdrew the statement at some point. Now, the mere thoughts of senators enjoying financial largesse at a time when government has made state policy of asking the people to endure the increasing hardship imposed by fuel subsidy removal, that's been seen as hypocrisy of the highest order. Well, joining me in the studio to make sense of this is VOP in-house analyst Cyril Abaku. Good morning, Cyril.
Good morning.
Now, Cyril, when you saw that video, how did it make you feel?
It's nothing new. Those in the know realize that this sort of thing has been going on for a long time. I think it was Senator Oseni who even said that senators always receive secret and quiet and sudden alerts, except that for the first time a Senate president, I don't know if I should say a rookie Senate president, mistakenly pressed the button. For all you care, Akpabio is not particularly an Abuja politician. I mean, he's not been. It's not been long he became an Abuja figure. So perhaps.
So he wasn't tutored on the
yes, and then again, I think it's the frenzy of being Senate president, and a lot of things he's doing now, he's doing them as first. So he hasn't probably understood the workings of the secret society, the mode that comes with that job that sometimes looks like what it is you're doing. There's a whole lot. I remember somebody saying that he was friends with a governor who had been a senator, and they told him there are ways you don't even talk on the Senate. There are certain things you must never say on the Senate. It's a highly privileged, and that this is privilege spelled backwards. It's a highly privileged society to belong to. If you know what I mean. There are things you don't say. There are ways you can't be an activist senator. It's not possible. Even for the most exposed, most enlightened of them who came from civil society, they don't last. The likes of Dino Melaye didn't last. The likes of
Oseni
didn't last. You see, I think that they prize and elevate and promote the look and feel of the Senate chamber over and above the core function of serving their countries, and that is why many years to come, very few of them will be remembered or will even matter, because you can have senators whose names you don't even know. Somebody can walk up to you and say, "I was a senator in your country," and you may never know, because they go there and sit down and they don't contribute nothing. And the more you play along and conform, the better it is for them.
The longer you last.
Longer you last. Now, excuse me, sir. There are a number of senators, ranking senators, and big men who were senators and who just quietly were there till they didn't want to go again. Just retired and went home, and yes, those were, in fact, those by the Nigerian way of doing things, we are even the best of them.
Okay, now let's chime in on this now. How then does this reflect on the constituents that they are there to represent?
How do you
If
mean?
they are there minding their business, not being activist in nature, basically agreeing to everything, how does it reflect on those that are there?
Yeah, so I'll go back to the discussion I had with that friend again, because I had told him that there was a particular era. I think it was the 2015 era, 2011 to 2015, and I said, he's a journalist, and I said, I kind of like the way the Senate is working with the then President Jonathan. You know, the way they get bills passed and the way they have a cordial relationship. I think it's good for democracy. And he said it wasn't necessarily true. That
it wasn't necessarily true that it's good for democracy.
For democracy, that because when you see them, you say yes, I say yes. You say no, I say no. Everything the other person says is what the other person says. It means that they are compromising our interests. To borrow those words, he said they are compromising our interests, because it means that people are going to see things from their own perspectives, then bury them and take that of the other person in return for something. That's the simplicity. That it's as simple as that. 109 senators cannot all agree, cannot see things from the same perspective, different cultures, different religions, different educational backgrounds, different languages, you know, and then something will come together. Why is Nigeria where it is today? It is because the cultures are at war. But on the floor of the Senate, the cultures don't fight. You must be it's like reality spelled backwards, you know. So as to how this will all go well for their constituents or for the senatorial districts, to be fair, the money was not meant for the senatorial districts or the people they represent. They said, we are giving you money
to enjoy, to have a good holiday.
So I mean, which constituent is going to...
Now, Cyril, in your opinion, as an observer, what would you say that money was for? Is it for the screening, for an effective screening,
yeah,
or for job well done, or for, you know, who gives money for people to go on holidays, really?
The first thing I'm going to say is that the Nigerian Senate is whereas it should be the real powerhouse of democracy, because in a military rule you still have the executive arm and the judiciary, but you can't have lawmakers, which is why there's no debate, there's no discussion. Somebody is dictating. That's why the name dictator came from. Dictating, you know, you're one person just saying everything, and as he says it, it is law. So that's a dictatorship. Otherwise, you ought to have people who debate and make laws. So they are the true. Once there's a coup anywhere in the world, what normally happens is that Parliament is dissolved, the constitution is suspended, and that's it. There's been a coup. The head of whoever the president is begins to dictate. They make laws and fix their salaries. You can't change that. Which president will look at his parliament and use his pen to sign his own suicide note? He's not going to do it. These lawmakers, everything that we do by law in this country, they are the ones who are in charge. So even if you send a law to reduce their pay, they have the power to sit down and increase it. There's nothing you can do about it. Now, who gives money? Please, I will say it that
I'm going to take you up on this question.
Yes.
There's nothing we can do about it, but I don't want to interrupt your flow.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Because everything comes right back to their desk. Everything comes right. Before we even talk about the money that they were given for the holiday enjoyment and what only God knows what that means. There is the innocuous provision of constituency projects, which again by law they are not empowered to undertake. The people who have the statutory powers to execute capital projects is the executive arm of government, the president, governors, you know. But in Nigeria, we give money to lawmakers, and that's not their basic salary. We give money to lawmakers to go and execute what we call constituency projects. The last time the ICPC chairman said he wanted to investigate contemporary. You know, they came for his neck. I can't pick it if now he left office or but they came for. They said, in fact, what they said they're going to whittle down the powers of the ICPC. Now, yes, that's what they said. That we are going to whittle down the, and that was in the, I think it was in the dying days of the Buhari. They said they're going to whittle down the powers of the ICPC and render it useless. And of course, in our democracy, because the president, I mean this current president, but not limited to him per se, Buhari had it, Jonathan had it, Obasanjo had it, because the president always wants, I mean, simply just wants to have a, doesn't, would rather not have a, you know, pick a quarrel with lawmakers. We'll just turn a blind eye to a lot of these things and we'll say, you know what, allow them. When I take my bill to the floor, let the, as the whip is whipping the bill, is whipping the proposal through Senate or Reps, let it just fly. So we are in a serious quagmire of compromises where somebody who stole has something, or somebody who killed. Tomorrow the person who killed can now go and can now go and rape. The person who knows that the other person knows what he did will also keep quiet. The following year that somebody has gone. So it's one crime
after another.
If you have an elite in a society that have built their empires, so to say, or have built their political destinies, or is it their careers on crime, on criminality, on banditry, on brigandage, I sincerely shudder to imagine how we expect that such a class will also now turn around and begin to do the best things for the people. And here's where I'm really going, Mr. Humphrey, if you would bear with me. The reality today in our country is that we have politics. Politics has become the biggest industry, has become the biggest business, has become the cash out, the cash cow. When politics has become the biggest business for a country, it is doomed to destroy that nation. That's ruined by other means. The intellectual sector isn't doing anything. Education is comatose. Healthcare has been run aground. Values are nowhere to be found. But politics is thriving so fruitfully, so prosperously, that such a nation is doomed, because the kind of politics you now practice cannot be a politics of value and of principles. It becomes a politics of who gets what and just how.
Whichever way they get it.
Whichever way they can get it. This way, we will no longer have statesmen. We are going to have politicians who just want to get whatever it is they can get from the system by any means possible. And how does that augur well for social well-being? I think this also speaks to the reason why in West Africa, in fact in Africa as a whole, people are not particularly enamored of democracy anymore, because they feel that democracy has become a charade, okay, some sort of masquerade or mask that covers the reality of the corruption, covers the reality of the hardships and poverty of our people, in the name of this government was elected, in the name of this government is acceptable to Western values, in the name of this government is representative, when in actual fact people have mastered the art and have turned it into a bazaar for looters. In what year was that book written? This House Has Fallen. Kalmea, the journalist came and said that Nigeria was like a place where the elite had entered into the public safe and locked themselves in, and we are just helping themselves to whatever they could help themselves to. Little wonder then, the moment somebody is a politician or maybe served in the armed forces, you come out, it's as if you won a lottery or you hit a jackpot. How is it that somebody who does not employ up to 30 persons, somebody who is not creating any value in society, suddenly turns up a billionaire because he became a government official in less than a year or 2 years. So this is it's the unique but extremely pathetic situation we find ourselves in. The Senate president, that was a slip of the tongue.
A terrible slip.
Somebody said that the tongue slips because it's in a wet place. It's a slip of the tongue. But believe me, going forward, I mean, this perhaps God just wanted to have an idea into what.
Okay, now is this a practice from your exposure? Is this a practice the world over?
That senators be given
getting allowances to go on
I'm not
vacation.
Aware. No, I'm not aware of that. I'm not. Look, first.
So this is a peculiar case.
First things first. Come on, you're not celebrating. This is the third world. Even if America, Nigeria copied this democracy from America. We didn't copy everything they copy because American governors don't spend 4 years in office. It's 2 years. We copied, but when it was time to paste, we removed some things. Okay, so that's why they have the midterms. Excuse me. Yeah. Of course, they have in America, the vice president is the president of the Senate. I think we don't practice that here. And by the way, apart from America and now a few other countries like Kenya and so on, the world over, democracy talks of government of the people, by the people and for the people. What that means is that the people elect their representatives to represent them in government. Mm-hmm. So it is, and like I said, the heart of democracy is parliament. You see now, parliament gives us the parliamentary system of government. That's why in Europe you have prime ministers. Mm-hmm. This is the standard way of running government anywhere in the world. Because the American style, America adopted a system that was unique to them, that was unique to their own cultural environment. Are you even aware that there is no place in the world, there's no country in the world that has developed using the American style presidential government? They picked it from ground up and said this will work for us. But there's no country in the world that just woke up and said that we're going to have a president, and from there they just began to. They've not developed. Even China, that has a president, all right, the Chinese premier. China does not run. Of course, they don't hold elections in China. Okay, so it's only, and we've not sat down to even ask ourselves: it's not Christmas, it's not Easter, it's not any of the Eids, it's not October 1. This is just come on.
And this is coming at a time when Nigerians have been asked to
tighten their belts.
Yes, fuel subsidy has been removed, taxes are being placed, minimum wage has not been approved. There has been no increase in it. Nigerians have been asked to, endure this hardship so that tomorrow will be better. And those that are lawmakers who are supposed to carry the interests of the people are enjoying, I don't want to call it hardship because it's not hardship. They are enjoying the moment so that their lives and that of their, those around them will continue to be better at the expense. I mean, this is taxpayers' money, isn't it?
Of course it is.
Supposedly, except it's money from a corrupt means.
which is not possible.
Which is not
or
possible.
Perhaps Chinese loans.
Perhaps.
Yeah,
Now, but see, now let's look at the issue of recalling a House of Assembly member. Have we ever used that power embedded in the voters to start up a recall?
So let me be clear and specific about this. Mobilizing the people, mobilizing the masses is not something that just gets done because we wish for it to happen. In the case of Dino Melaye in Kogi State, people brought out money to sponsor, because, even on election day, sometimes there's a lot of apathy. People just feel, now waiting they want them to do, so there's no need to come out. But in 2011, 2015 to an extent, and then 2023, people came out and said they wanted to vote. Yeah, good. So the organic circumstances that should normally instigate, motivate, encourage, persuade people to come out and do those things are not always there because they are used to the way of things.
So the suffering is not enough.
And I'm coming. In Kogi, in case of Tinubu, people brought money out, sponsored media adverts, sponsored the flyers, everything. Money was moving everywhere. At the last minute, people voted and said they didn't want Tinubu not to leave the Senate, so he remained there. In spite of so much money being brought out. Mobilizing people to a cause is not always an easy thing. And the truth must be said. In a country where NDLA went to arrest a drug baron in Mile 3, around the Mile 3 area, in Port Harcourt, around the Mile 3 area in Port Harcourt, community people came out and chased them away. A drug lord. They call him 50 or so, something 50. A drug lord. People came out and chased them and said, get out of this place, leave the drug baron alone. A society where corruption has been decentralized, democratized. So much so that because some money is flowing, people will even rather defend corruption with their lives. We are seeing it happen in our country. So when you now say recall a senator, the question will be, is it that if, assuming he was representing, let me just say Ojodu Beggar constituency, and he's from Ojodu, is it the Ojodu people that will recall him or the people from Beggar? Because normally what they say is Ojodu do 2 terms, Beggar do 2 terms. It's our time. Leave him. No matter what it does, leave him alone. That's what you're going to hear. They say leave him first, leave him. When he has done it 2 times, you to bring your own person, let him do, we will not disturb you too. So because the dynamics of Nigeria's issues are complex, and we've not even taken the first step to try to address this. So you just find that what you think logic should logic may not solve it for you. The matter is more complex than you can ordinarily look at it. And the reason is not far-fetched. We are not a people driven by values. We are driven by, oh, come on, ethnic sentiments, religious bias, and all of that. You'll be amazed. Somebody just goes to his religious house and says they want to remove him because he's our brother. When can Nigeria rise beyond sentiments, rise beyond primordial propensities, and begin to embrace what is more central, what is more viable, what is more value driven? Until we are willing to achieve that, I can assure you, you saw what happened with NSAS. Clearly there was a problem with the SARS movement. Then some people somewhere came up and said that the whole movement of NSAS was to oust the president who was from the part of the country. We saw those things on TV, In fact, there was a professor of law whom I was watching him and I couldn't believe. I couldn't shut out to hear a professor of law saying the things he was saying online on national television. Even Boko Haram, a nation that cannot be united by a common enemy. Do you still call that? I think we're a country. Really, we're a country, but not a nation. Is a matter of values. A nation is a matter of understanding. A nation is a matter of principles. What we are is that we are a country. We've not yet become a nation. When we become a nation, it will be easier for us to see eye to eye rather than just face to face.
Now, isn't this an issue of the voter or the populace not having that much interest in politics or not having an interest in how they are governed? How can we address this issue? Because that is basically the bedrock of all of this.
No, the thing is, to take back power may not be as difficult as we might imagine. First of all, the process of elections, if there's a petition against the senator now, and we and we forward it to INEC, and say we want to organize a recall, you must hold this recall, and we begin the process. Do you trust do you trust the process? The presidential election contenders are in court because of the process, not because of the outcome. The process. A country in which somebody can, now there are many reasons why the INEC, why the server didn't work, and we don't know which one to believe. One said they had to willfully shut it down to avoid hackers. I don't know if you believe it. The other one said there were glitches. Meanwhile, the people who helped us to set the technology up said there was no problem whatsoever. It means that something happened somewhere. At least the Minister of Information was quite honest to say that. He said that they willfully shut it down. So it's the truth. I don't see what else you want to. Now that shutting down, was it criminal or was it administrative? I think we can now begin to ask that question. So, but if the process of recall can be seen to be sincerely genuine, sincerely smooth, and there will be no vote buying during such an election, we can begin the experiment. We can begin it. But until we can guarantee the safety of the process and safety of the lives of those who will be pushing who will be championing the cause, it may not be the best course of action. The reality is this: people, a lot of times, when you cannot push for a recall without having an interest in who replaces him, for example, it's not possible. You can't have, the power cannot be. You can't have a vacuum. So if you pushed him out, what if a worse devil goes to that place? So if you're pushing him out, you must be willing to go and now replace him. And there are even moral issues around that. So the matter, like I said, is not as straightforward as we like to have it. But we can pressurize government. And look, if you have up to 10, 15, or 20 attempts at a recall, I hope you realize that could amount to a revolution by other means. Of course, we have to think end to end. That's a revolution by other means. So, are we willing to stick our boots in the mud and go the whole log? If we're willing to do it, why not? But if we're not, let's count our chickens before they come home to roost. I think it's important we do that.
And then we'll continue to endure this brazen nonchalance being exhibited by lawmakers.
I'm glad that this came to light. But Moses, if we even have an idea what goes on, how these things happen at the National Assembly, many people don't know half
of the things that go on
there. No, they don't know. I'm not sure if we will know up to a splinter of what goes on there. It's not something that is savory. People don't kill, steal, and destroy for nothing just to become saying. Is it that they're looking for the title or what? There's a whole lot that goes on there. It's a whole lot.
Now this also brings to fore this old question of how to make government a little less enticing to people. It's a conversation we've always had. What can we do so that those going into positions of government, the positions of authority, are going there to serve and not to have the voters serve them?
Yeah. So something can be done, and it will take the example of a willing, determined, focused, dynamic, charismatic leader in the person of the president to begin. I said it the other day that the president should come on national television and say that as his own piece of support and as part of his own contribution to enduring the hardship that we're enduring.
Salary.
No, that will come. Take off the agbada and say, as from today, this extra layer of whatever, I'm taking it off. I will wear just the up and down. Then that's of course it's symbolic. Slash my salaries. Then I don't understand how State House, the money they use for the president's haircut, I think is in the millions. Everything is in the millions. The money they use to buy.
Even when a president is bald-headed.
Moses,
Just saying.
You have to go there. It's in the millions. What do you need? How much do you spend on your, what's it called now? On your coiffure.
Okay.
On your coiffure for a month. You can't be more than 10,000 naira. Even if you have it 6 times in a month, and per time is 5,000 naira, that's about 30,000 really. So how much do you really need? Okay, let's even say 100,000 per month for your haircut. which is even way too much. Which am I cutting? Okay, there's a barber, there's a sit outside, or is there that they buy clipper for the president every month, clipper and blades, spare blades. He won't use them. At the end of the month, they throw it away. The Americans were copying. The president pays for the food he eats. If the president pukes in what's it called, in the vehicle,
office. Okay.
No, I'm trying to remember the beast. He will pay for the cleaning. He will. They will charge him. Why can't we adopt that? Why can't we adopt that sort of discipline? And then the food they eat in State House, the food they eat in the state, everything is in millions.
The cutlery they use, it goes.
You know, so
exactly.
You imagine.
So I wonder what happens to. Do they melt it and turn it to?
I don't understand it.
Gold and silver?
So why can't the president say, for my haircut, look, there should even if
even
it's
the papers they receive.
Do you know, if it's a matter of the laundry, say that should have a laundry department. You iron the clothes and you bring it back. I don't see what is and you say that they're making clothes for the president every day. So what you do, slash all of those things. It can't be more than 5 million naira. I mean, if it is even too much. You know, 5 million being that if there's a balance, you roll it over to the next month or next year, it's still okay. You buy it and say, okay, let's no. They call it cash brought forward or something like that. The president is an accountant. He needs to lead by that example. Then he can now summon the moral courage to require his countrymen to do the same thing. Not that he will confront the senator or reps so that he doesn't go to war with them. It is the party. It is the party that should organize a convention and say, as a party, this is what we believe in, and we want to hope that we will live out what we promise the people. We, in our manifesto promise X, Y. So it should be a party philosophy, not just the president's own. But the president should, because he does not answer to anybody, he should use his own good mind and whatever example to do this. Is I've said, of course, slash his salary. Slash it. If you cannot slash it by by as of law, by the law, let him show Nigerians that when I take my salary, since the senator have refused to agree to, or I pay it into the CBN, I pay it to anywhere, or I give it to charities. So that way Nigerians will see that this man is sincerely also willing to. It is not for not just Chukwudifo Puta had one chronometer, one wristwatch he used from his university days until before he died. No, until he died actually. Or until they put up panel, I think. Until he died, yeah, it was one wristwatch he was using. Great men don't live on luxury. Great men live on principles. And the values that conduce to modern society. But in our climate, it's a different ballgame.
Totally different ballgame.
Look, yes.
All right. Unfortunately, we have to go into another topic. Yes, we do have two topics on Political Voice today. Now, this is following his differences with Governor Godwin Obaseki. The Deputy Governor of Edo State, Comrade Philip Shaibu, may join the All Progressive Congress APC next week. Now, some people are saying that he will join the APC next week. Now, if he will, reports are that barring unforeseen circumstances, the party's National Working Committee will receive him early next week. A high-ranking member of the ruling party at the center disclosed on condition of anonymity. However, Shuaibu's flight into the APC appears to be facing turbulence on account of the stance of Senator Adams Oshomole, who declared yesterday that the party is not a rehabilitation center for distressed politicians. Oshomole, former national chairman of the APC and a two-term governor of Edo State, handed over to Governor Obaseki as APC chairman. Now, he denied Obaseki and Shuaibu the party's re-election ticket, which forced the duo to join the People's Democratic Party, PDP, which then gave them the ticket, and they won re-election in 2018. Meanwhile, Shuaibu has distanced himself from the move, to the APC, which he described as another lie from the pit of hell, insisting that he would sink and swim with Obaseki. Now, this came as the Federal High Court sitting in Abuja restated its August 4 order halting the alleged plot to impeach Shaibu as deputy governor and deferred the matter till August 22 for hearing. Shaibu's decision to return to the APC, which was predicated by political analysts, followed his move to the Federal High Court to seek injunction against an alleged impeachment plot against him. The governor, Governor Obaseki, had, however, said the move by Shaibu to seek a court order to stop his purported impeachment was preemptive. Ahead of his defection to the APC, in a veiled reference to Shaibu's reported defection to the APC, Oshomole told journalists, shortly after paying a condolence visit to the family of the late Esogban of Benin Kingdom, Chief David Edebiri, that irrespective of any political party in power, he wants peace for the state, adding that loyalty is expected in politics. All right. Now there's a whole lot to talk about in this regard, but Cyril, you seem to be of the opinion that this move is already in the offing. It is going to happen regardless of whatever we hear.
Well, if you look at history, you look at, because in politics, the handwriting on the wall is always better than the words of the horse's mouth. I'd rather read the handwriting on the wall than go with the horse's mouth. In this case, the same thing happened with Obaseki in the past. I mean, a whole lot of them. Obaseki won his first time with the APC and second time with the PDP. Very funny, isn't it? All the while, Shaibu was his deputy, and it was this same arrangement with Ize Iyamu as candidate of the PDP the first time, and then candidate of the APC the second time, and in both cases he lost to Godwin Obaseki. So bearing that in mind, it's a predictable ball game that you're going to see. Shaibu wants to be governor of Edo State, and he hasn't had a smooth sailing with his boss, who clearly is not enamored of him succeeding him as governor. Perhaps both men are enlightened men. Both men are men of good intellectual standing. They work together for some time. Perhaps Governor Basiki has his reasons why he's not in the frame of mind to have Shaibu succeed him, or at least support him to succeed him. So the normal thing Shaibu will do as a politician with ambition. But Shaibu has not said he doesn't want to be governor of Edo. I have not read where Shaibu said, I don't want to be governor of Edo State. I haven't. So it then means that the only likely thing to do, Adam Shomale wouldn't have spoken out of nothing. He didn't speak from. There are feelers, okay? Oshomole is the direct political was the direct political mentor to Shaibu, and I think he felt personally betrayed when Shaibu stuck his guns with Obaseki during the fracas between Obaseki and Oshomole. I mean, and again, all the brickbat and things that were said that are not worthy of being repeated on television. So, but it always happens that after a while, tempers have to calm down, especially when men's interests are at stake. The reality is that in politics, as they say, there are only permanent friends, interests. No
friends, no foes.
Permanent friends. Yeah, no friends, no foes. Yeah, very bluntly put there. There are neither friends nor foes. Today maybe in the APC, tomorrow maybe in the PDP. Atiku Abubakar, for example, has been in the APC and PDP more than any other person. PDP founding member, APC founding, he has been in all the parties. He has 1 year is in the AC, and 1 year is in the PDP, 1 year is in the APC, 1 year is in the, so he has crisscrossed the parties. So here, Oshomole can't be too angry. Assuming that Shaibu, because you can't have a deputy governor, they come to your party and wants to run for president, for governor of the state. I think he already has an edge above any other person that wants to run for that same office. Yes, so that clout of deputy governor, it's something that the party can.
Why do we see this rift between deputies and the principals? We saw it between Atiku and Obasanjo at the time. Why do we see that?
No, okay, so let me.
I wanted to come. Ambition?
No, ambition, of course, yes, but all the places you find problem between deputy and governor, even Kwankwaso and Ganduje, is always when both governor and deputy are core politicians. The ideal thing that used to happen back in the day was that the governor will be the politician, the deputy will have had no background whatsoever in politics. He's, you know, they call him spare tire. Will just be a technocrat or a businessman or somebody who had no, who didn't even, who has never thought of or imagined that he was going to go into politics. So he has no structure, he has no base, but he has a name. They just bring him down and put him and say, just be here and bear the name. Just be here. Or even if he was a politician who does not have the temperament of ambition. So for example, when the chips were down for Atiku to pick a deputy in a vice president candidate in 2019, the southeastern political power bloc had recommended, I think this man, what's his name? Former deputy president of the Senate, Ike Ekweremadu. But you know, Ekweremadu has a PhD. Ekweremadu is a, if you put the former vice president, Yemi Osinbajo, and Ekweremadu, they will arguably be on the same standing in terms of their background in law. Ekweremadu is a sound scholar. He's a well-read, well-educated lawyer. He has a doctorate. So some people felt that Atiku knew that. So he rather went for a P2B who is a tame, unassuming, quiet person who just has background in, you know, who is, well, let's say equally as good, but not necessarily has his eyes on, you know. So this was how P2B came to be the VP of choice for Atiku. In Rivers State, for example, Sir Peter Odele was governor of Rivers State. He picked Sir GDG Toby, Gabriel Toby deputy governor. I don't think that ever since Gabriel Toby left office as deputy governor, he has contested even for local government. He just left office and went to his house. So men like that, that's why oftentimes why the deputy governor is a professor or is a PhD holder. He came from a university. They have no ambition. They look at, even in Adamawa, where you have Binani and Governor Fintiri fighting. Fintiri's deputy is a former vice chancellor of a university, a woman. She has no desire to be governor or to be anything. I'm telling you that if today she's not lobbying anybody to be governor of the state, because nobody will even listen to her. If she comes out to say vote for me, they'll be asking, who is this one? So, but where you have deputy, Shaibu is a well-known. Maybe people don't. Shaibu is a player. Is a player
in the arena, the political arena.
Yes, the only thing is that Shaibu may be a gladiator of petty stature because he has not had the platform that will amplify him. But he is a very skillful player. He's a good gladiator. For example, when the governor handed over sports in the state to him, he resurrected Bendel Insurance, and they became a major challenger in the last year, maybe in the last two. But I know that in this last year, they were even in the Super 8. That's, you know, so Shaibu is a smart guy. But I think that there was a time when Shaibu had brought some people, from what the governor said, that Shaibu had brought some names to give them that he should appoint them council chairman in some parts of Edo State. And the allegation was that either they were APC members or they were not people whom the party leadership or whatever. So it appeared that I'm just taking a wild guess. The deputy governor Shaibu was attempting to have his men planted at the grassroots to, as you know, in the build up to when he will, and the governor blocked it, and then traditional rulers or elders or leaders in the area were sort of made to now sort of came into the picture, whether the governor brought them in or they came in, I don't know, but they were in agreement with the governor that Shaibu wasn't doing the right thing by trying to hobnob with APC members. So it appears now that the governor has some sort of support in shutting out his deputy, who, I mean, you know, it's all,
it gets messy.
So clearly Shaibu is not he's not daft, he's deft. He's deft, and he knows that the next thing he should do is to cross carpet to the ruling party if he's accepted there. I mean, the Oshiomhole does not control the APC now. The APC is controlled by a new guard. You have the likes of Governor Ganduje, the likes of what's the deputy Senator Ajibola Bashiru. So looking at this new setup, if he's able to warm his way, I mean, I'm discussing naked politics here. There's no because you will see next week now that well, I'm not saying it will happen, but I'm just telling you the strategy we've seen over time. Supporters of the deputy governor in a local government that have all defected to 55,000 that have defected to the APC. We know it is coming. The next thing here is that the deputy governor chief of staff has defected. Haba, you know, that sort of thing. So gradually it will go. But right now, the deputy governor cannot even defect just all too soon, because if he came out, sorry, he can't agree. He can't announce I'm defecting. Because if he did that now, the implication is that the PDP will say, you can't be in a party and be trying to defect just like that. And you say you're going to defect. They may even take him to court. Because, you know, there's this thing with your party does not have an issue. Why are you defecting? He will have problems. But I know that with time, you will see. Just follow the news trend. The stage will be set for it. And before you know, they will come to him and say that they're even offering him the party ticket and so on. He will now say, well, you know what they normally say, don't you?
Of course. All right, so in the coming days now, well, we know that the politics in Edo State has revolved around a few men, Ezeyamo, Oshiomhole, or Obaseki. Shaibu is getting into the mix.
Yes.
What do you see coming for him? How do you see him in the nearest future?
Well,
you've already described him as
of course. I get your drift in terms of, you know, Pastor Ezeyamo, Adams Oshiomhole, Godwin Obaseki, and now enter Philip Shaibu. Well, of course, Philip Shaibu is no stranger to that terrain. He's no stranger to that power circus. In fact, he has been a major force behind one of these men at one point or the other, except that he hasn't come out as a face all by himself, but as a major enforcer, sort of major foot soldier, major think tank, major.
So do you think he can cause
strategist.
A major upset?
I see it happening. In politics, it's not even always about whether he will win the election or not if he went to the APC. It will be a matter of how far can he push the equation. How far can, for example, Ezeyamo has not been governor, but I can tell you that the fear or the understanding of Inyamu's weight is the beginning of how you even, you know, Obaseki had it. Oshiomhole lost the election. It was Ezeyamo that fought back and made sure that he came back, you know, when they took the case to court and so on. Even for Pastor Yamu, Governor Oshiomhole wouldn't have been governor of Edo State. It was all Oshiomhole's doing, you know. So, but when Oshiomhole too was to hand power over, he parted ways with Ezeyamo and then chose Obaseki. Obaseki, you know, also came to power and parted with Oshiomhole. And so it's this same circle.
And Philip isn't waiting to come to power. He's already parting ways.
You can see it happen.
Will that lead to his will he succeed?
No, I just think that if I mean the calculation,
because if he's parting ways with Obaseki and Adams is saying, okay, this is not
an IDP camp.
Yes, he may not be as influential as he used to be, but he's still friends with the man at the helm of affairs now, the president.
Of course,
they're still friends, so he can still pull some weight.
Of course, he can
if he chooses to. If he feels aggrieved as to, you know, what happened to him in the past.
If Ezeyamo and Adams Oshiomhole could come back to fight Godwin Obaseki, I don't see why should not bring back that same magnanimity, or what is it called? that same forgiveness and reconciliation. They'll come back and mend fences with his son, his direct political son, Philip Shaibu. I don't see what's special about it. In fact, in the political calculation, Izeyamu is by far an older, more grounded politician than Oshomole. You know, the Bible says that time and chance happens to every man. Just that the opportunities never really came for Iyamu. So if Iyamu made him governor and they parted ways and he brought Obaseki and imposed Obaseki, well, you know, made Obaseki governor and so on, and now finally, there's not. I just think that somehow all of these things are for. Maybe he's saying you want to come back to the party and you've not come to prostrate here. Where do you think you're going? So, in the end, I mean, you hear the things they say in the daytime. You don't see the things they do in the night. So, assuming that in the night they were able to get back together and kiss, not a kiss of betrayal now, but a kiss of forgiveness and reconciliation, you won't hear the sound because you'll be asleep. You're the sound asleep. But in the daytime, it will show that something has happened in the night. And in the end, I mean, I have nothing. You and I have nothing to gain really in what happens in Edo State. But the fact is that this is Nigerian politics, and what has happened in the far past has happened in the near past, and that the same thing is about to happen in the present. I don't see why I should calculate it a different way. You know, at the very most, if the APC wouldn't take what is name Shaibu, you may hear that he went to the LP or any other party and he will try his luck there. But one thing I know, that politicians are very optimistic. They don't ever. And if somebody will go and enter Abracadabra party and tell you that he believes he will win, the people have told him that you should join the party and vote for him, and you wonder where did they invent all these things from. So sometimes I've even gone into oblivion for joining a party that but it's the same thing. 3 persons in a party would rather become flag bearers than support someone else to say, when did I've been in this party for more than 10 years and they didn't, so. But in Shaibu's own case, he has a name, he has a face, and he has demonstrated a bit of capacity to do things in government. Of course he has. And, has a little bit of structure. Did you see what he did? Running to the court to say, prevent this man from impeaching me. It means he understands the terrain very. He's a strategist. So I won't be surprised if he knows what to do and does it right and gets the ticket of the APC in next year's election.
All right, thank you very much, Cyril Abaku, for coming on the program.
My pleasure.
All right, that's it on Political Voice today. We do wish you a beautiful weekend. As we go into the weekend, we send our prayers to your mailboxes and we wish you a nice one. Bye for now.